Hello, and welcome to another episode of Elder Abuse Awareness Virtual Coalition. My name is Elisa Gwilliam, and today I have the pleasure to be talking with Professor of Psychology and Director for the Center of Aging and Disability Policy at Mount St. Mary College, Dr. Larry Force.
Thank you, Alyssa. Hi, my name is Dr. Larry Force, and as Alyssa said, I'm a professor of psychology at Mount St. Mary College, and myself and dear friend and colleague, Dr. Jeff Kahana, we are directors of our Center on Aging and Disability Policy. I'm really glad that everybody was able to join us today, and one of the things you can see is that there are a number of students that have joined us as well, which is great. These are students in a Theories of Social Casework class. And one of the things that I tried to embed in the class is what it really feels like to work in teams, to work in agencies. They just completed genograms, so their own family system. Now they're working on case studies. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to come and join us today. The podcast, this video cast, started with 11 days notice. And what I mean by that is that COVID came in and we had all this content information and we were planning a large conference. We had one conference that we came off of that we had 500 people at the college. And there was zero chance during COVID that we were going to be able to assemble 500 people. So in another project that I'm involved in, we immediately went virtual and it worked. And I called Anne-Marie and I called Tim on a Friday, and I said, are the two of you available? Tim is Tim Murphy, who is the Director of Adult Protective Services in Orange County. Anne-Marie Maglione is the Director of the County Office for Aging. And I said, are you available for a call? And they said yes. So the following week, Alyssa Williams, who is our moderator, and also founder and CEO of Hudson Valley Healing Center, and Dr. Jerry Abbottiello. And Dr. Abbottiello and I have known each other for 30 plus years. She is a nurse practitioner. She's a PhD, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and she is the owner and founder of Center for Life's Journey. And I said, look, I came across something in this other arena. What do you think about doing it this way? And they said, sure. And the next thing you know, Sharon Mary Cohen, who is the executive director of Jewish Family Services in Ulster County. Sharon and I have also known each other for 30 years. I call her because she's a tremendous advocate, and she'll also talk about her role that she plays throughout New York State in the area of elder abuse. And I called my dear friend, Sandy Altman. And Sandy is an attorney. He's a strong advocate for elder issues. And he's an elder attorney, and he's a writer. He writes a lot about the elder concerns, and he's also a musician. So together, collectively, we came together, and then other people joined. Danielle Maglione, who is the person that helped stitch all of this together. Randy Heller, you saw our website. I sent out the link to the students. And please, I'm going to reference it again later on in class, but Randy was magical in the way he put all of that together. And then Teresa Steffen has joined us to help do some of the social media marketing. So every 2 weeks we get together with a particular issue. We tape it, video it, and then we send it out through our mailing list. And we know that we wanted to start off locally and then, go statewide, and then go nationally. And we've been very successful with this. Our mailing list has grown. Acknowledgement of the work that we're doing has grown. And the fact is that we really feel as though we have something, because this elder abuse issue, especially elder abuse during COVID times, is just a nightmare. So with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Tim Murphy. And I know, Alyssa, at some point you have to leave, okay? But I think it would be great if you and Tim did follow up, because I'll make reference to it here about what you did in the past, the two of you. But I think it would be good that the two of you followed up so that you can build upon that. But with that, I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Tim Murphy, who is the Director of Adult Protective Services in Orange County, who also has sponsored a number of interns and actually hired our students. So Tim.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So navigating the maze is the topic that Dr. Forrest wants us to consider and think about what it means. And there are multiple systems that exist within New York State to help elders navigate the maze. And navigating the maze is a good term because not one of us can do it by ourselves. And
could I just say one thing before you go on? For the students in the class, if you have the opportunity to capture notes and names and places that people are going to tell you about, I think that would be valuable. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So it is a maze. And what's amazing to me is the lack of knowledge that most everyday folks do not have about negotiating the systems that they're going to need to take care of their elders or take care of themselves. So we jokingly encourage people to age loudly. And what that means to us is that you need to have a curious mind, no matter what your age, about what systems are out there to help you take care of yourselves and therefore help take care of your families. So as I said a second ago, it is so big and so broad and not one of us can do it by ourselves. So I rely on attorneys like Sandy Altman. I rely on Jewish Family Services as a community service provider. There's community or Jewish Family Services in Orange County as well, in other counties. I rely on the Office of the Aging to help with this issue of elder abuse and neglect and pulling those resources in to help fix whatever the problem is. So Adult Protective Services in our county and throughout the counties in New York, its primary mission is to receive reports of elder abuse and conduct an investigation and assessment. Depending on what that assessment tells us, I need to reach out to my co-workers throughout a variety of disciplines so I can fix the issue of adult abuse and neglect. So I need the depth of contacts within that maze of Jewish Family Services, Office of the Aging, Hudson Valley Healing Centers, Dr. Abbottiello, of knowing where to go to link people with the service and with the help they need to fix is a bad word, the elder abuse issue, but to examine what it is, what's happening, and how do I reduce it or make it go away. There's only a handful of us throughout the state that has the primary mission of conducting the investigation and the assessment. The rest of the work is done through the local agencies, but it is a maze. So what happens is Adult Protective Services is given without regard. It's based on illness or disability and a degree of risk. It makes the practitioners of Adult Protective Services be jacks of all trades. You never know what's coming in the door on any given day. It could be a nursing home, adult home, a hospital system, living at home, in a hoarded condition. It could be just families struggling to provide basic everyday home health aid or personal care aid to their loved ones. It could be a willful neglect or a passive neglect. The gamut is just very wide ranging. As a result, we get frustrated, we get burned out. We're constantly juggling 18 balls at once. And then I have to rely on somebody like Elisa William in Hudson Valley Healing Center to get my staff, some room to go sort their heads out and keep them whole and keep them focused on what they're doing here. The virtual coalition helps. It sends a message out to a broader community and helps link us throughout the state and the nation. So the camaraderie is pretty cool to have. So you guys,
and I just want to add to this. I mean, Tim talked about the camaraderie. We're friends. We enjoy working together. This is not an easy topic to work on. And the fact is that, as Tim's talking about, he is involved with Adult Protective Services in Orange County. Each county has a mirror image of Tim's office throughout New York State. And the fact is, if there's a concern about elder abuse with the sense of confidentiality, you can call them and then they will have to investigate. the question that's come up in class is, can you develop a career in the field of human services with a bachelor's degree in human services or psychology? And the answer is yes. And one of the things I encourage you to do is take a look at the civil service websites, whether they be county civil.
I guess Larry dropped off.
Because here where Tim is the director of an agency in Orange County, right, in Orange County. And he's a tremendous connection for you. But as Tim goes on, what I want to do is I also want to bring on for a second, because I know that she has to leave. And if everybody could just go around and just do like a very quick overview of who they are, I'd like to bring on Dr. Jerry Abbottiello. So Dr. Abbottiello, you have to unmute. Can I unmute you? I don't know.
There we go.
Perfect.
Good morning, everybody. I always like to hear how we can't work this individually as a discipline. One discipline has to integrate and be mutually dependent on each other in order to tease out where the issues are, whether they're legal or family issues, long-term issues, or brand new issues. And in my field, I'm always looking at what are the concerns here? Are they about a physical illness that has now altered people's cognitive function or their psychological balance? Is this something that is new, is not dementia, for instance, that is very taxing, not only on the person, but on their family, as well as, or is this an acute illness that presents itself and makes family life very difficult, but is treatable? And in the context of what's going on in our society right now, in terms of what we're finding out about the virus COVID, how it affects neurologic function, how it affects, family function, and the major disaster that's happened in this maze, if you will, of people who have not seen their family members and don't necessarily understand what's going on in an elder's home, or for the elder maybe with them, and how that affects how the stress levels and anxiety and depression has just accelerated off the charts. And to have a team of people that can, be in dialogue with patients, clients, families, and the community at large is amazingly helpful. And I'm looking at the medical and psychological part of what is normal aging and what is signs of illness or chronic disabilities that are affecting people's lives personally, communally. And I cannot do that without the resources of people in human resources, in legal resources, and often think about who I can call to get some support for people that I'm working with, and working with the community for education. So.
Well, one of the things for the benefit of the students, when we're talking about elder abuse, we're not just talking about physical abuse. It's financial abuse, it's psychological abuse. And the fact is that, when you think about this, especially under COVID, what do we notice? We notice that a lot of aberrant behavior has increased. Child abuse has increased, elder abuse has increased. But the one thing that from the agency perspective that Tim and Anne-Marie and Sharon have been able to promote is, look, even during this time of quarantine, we are here, we are available. Okay, we are still present. Because if you have somebody in your family, or there's a neighbor or one of your clients, and it turns out that you're concerned about, you think that there's an issue of elder abuse, pick up the phone and talk to one of these people that you're now connected to. Connect with each of these people on LinkedIn. one of the things I'll be able to do is give you their contact information when I see you in class on Thursday. But this is a real rich experience for you to be able to see the people that are really addressing this issue on a daily basis. So thank you, Dr. Abbottiello. Sharon Murray Cohen, who is the Executive Director of Jewish Family Services in Ulster County. Sharon? You're muted. Now
Finally.
you're not. There
Right.
you go.
I also am wearing the name tag of Kayla McGuire. Kayla is one of my students who often uses my computer. And I just realized it when I went to unmute. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I look at elder abuse as really a systems issue, in that it's not just the individual themselves that is impacted by the abuse. It is the larger circle, which includes family, friends.
If you could, hold on a second. Corian, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. Go ahead.
And with any systems issue, it takes more than one entity to resolve the problems. One of the things that Jewish Family Services of Ulster County did was apply for a grant, which actually comes from Lifespan of Rochester, with the funding coming from NYSOFA, which is New York State Office for the Aging, and from Office of Victim Services, New York State. And their funds come from ACL, which is the Federal Agency on Community Living, to actually establish something called an EMTDT in each of the counties in the Hudson Valley. They set up hubs, which in our area is the Hudson Valley Hub, and includes Ulster, Sullivan, Dutchess, Orange, and Rockland. And the reason for the hub is that it's not unusual for individuals who are actually scamming to be involved in multiple counties at the same time. And sometimes there are cases that occur in Ulster County or Orange County, for example, that are very similar, and at least in one occasion turned out to be perpetrated by the same individuals. So we all need each other here in order to solve or to deal with these sometimes very complex issues that occur around financial elder abuse or elder abuse in general. I'm very fortunate that we have relationships that were pre-existing before the hub and have only been strengthened as a result of all of us working together on these issues.
This is our third season. We started out and we thought we didn't know how long we were going to go. The last 2 years, including this year, we've been funded specifically from Orange County with a COVID-related grant in order to have this happen, to create the website, to be able to do the broadcast, to bring in specific people. And Sharon is the executive director of this Jewish Family Services in Ulster, but she's also teaches at Marist. She's a licensed social worker, tremendous advocate, is the queen of grant writing. And the fact is that you, as you're thinking about internships or jobs, I would definitely think about somehow connecting with her in her world. So thank you, Sharon. And Sandy Altman. at this point, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yes, I can. And
Thank
good
you.
morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Always a pleasure, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sandy Altman, I'm an elder law attorney. And I've been senior advocate for a long time, and also I am the chairman of the Town of Montgomery Seniors Independence Project. Town of Montgomery is where my office is in Orange County, and one of the things that we do is we pair volunteers with seniors to help them do things that will keep them in their homes. This is one of one of the things that I advocate for most, which is keeping seniors in their homes, not in a nursing home, not in any other institutional setting, because nobody ever comes into my office and says, "Oh, I'd like you to plan for me so I can go into a nursing home." Nobody wants to do that. So we do things like drive people to doctors, shopping, things around their home that, you know, people say, "Oh, well, yes, if I was in assisted living or some other institution, I won't have to bother with this, but I'm going to leave my home where I've lived for like 50 years." And one of the reasons why I'm pointing this out here is that this is something that our town put together. And you know, fortunately, our town supported our ideas here and was able to you know, partner with other groups, do things like help us with meetings and also you know, be able to do basically to broadcast our programs and all. But you know, thinking about it and listening to what other people here have said is, you know, we can't always depend on the government to do stuff for us. We can't always depend on the county or the state or the feds to help people who need it here in the community. And sometimes it's things that we have to do ourselves. And the other part of that is that people who need help need to not only come to the various agencies and individuals that we have here, but they also have to stand up for themselves and say, "I'm getting help. I'm not putting up with this." A lot of elder abuse has come from people, so, you know, older people sort of folding for the demands of younger people. And I've seen this a lot in my law practice. A lot of times the abuse comes from family, close friends. Sometimes it's new close friends. And it's really, really important for individuals, whether they're older or they are related to people who are older, to have an idea of what the abuse is. And we sort of ran through a bunch of things that could be, you know, financial abuse. That's something that's really clear. You know, take someone's money. I just mentioned this to someone the other day. I don't remember in what context, but I've had clients say, "My grandson who's been living with me said, if you don't lend me money, I'm going to make sure you end up in a nursing home." Okay. This is when I told this to someone, people really say that. Okay. You don't want to be manipulated. Okay. You want to know that what your goals are, you can still live with. Your goals, you can still seek your goals. You can still do even other stuff and new stuff. And this is one of the things that you know, Larry and I sort of have a podcast to kind of with the pandemic fell apart. Was age loudly. And one of the things we always emphasize is standing up for yourself, knowing that, okay, I might be retired, it's not over. That's one of Larry's things he always says. And saying that, and when you even getting to the point of being able to say, this feels like abuse, I'm going to call up Tim Murphy in Adult Protective Services. I'm going to call Sharon, Jerry, you know, it's like taking that step to be able to do that. One of the things that I've always come across time and time again is family members saying, oh, my brother's been stealing from my mom, and the mom saying, well, I don't want my son going to jail. I don't want my son being involved with the county with Adult Protective Services or anything else. It's that sort of knowing where to go and knowing what your rights are, and knowing that you don't give up your rights just because you're older, I think is really important. And it seems to come not only in legal areas, but sort of all over. Everyone who's here deals with this, and it's important to know. It's important to know what your rights are. It's important to know that you don't have to do things just because other people say it's okay. You can make decisions. You have rights. You can vote. All of this stuff, and you can do other fun stuff too. You know, you don't stop having fun. You don't stop dancing, going out, listening to music, socializing, any of that. In other words, living your life to your fullest. And when you find someone's interfering with them, that's when you go to us.
And I just want to build upon what Sandy's saying. The fact is that, you know, the overarching theme, typically what would happen is that if you were to see our typical podcast, video cast, we usually have guests on, you know, somebody that's looking at it from a different perspective, whether they be from the state or out of state. This year, you know, the second year, what we focused on was people in nursing homes. You saw that whole controversy about people being, you know, driven into nursing homes during COVID. And we also talked a lot about families that have individuals with special needs, you know, people with intellectual disabilities or people with psychiatric disorders, which sometimes ended up getting warehoused in nursing homes. And our goal is to give voice, to give advocacy collectively. Each of us individually has a fingerprint in the area of elder care. Collectively, this is a very strong and deep team. And what I was hoping for, Tim, is if you could provide all of us and the students with what's a day, like talk about the number, obviously not breaking confidentiality, but talk about the number of cases. How many staff members work for Adult Protective Services? Thank you, Sandy. How many staff members?
So in Orange County, we have about 380 or 390,000 people. So in any given day, you know, we're dealing with 280 to 300 cases that revolve around abuse or neglect of impaired adults. You know, a normal month for us of new reports is someplace between 65 and 75 new reports. To have 21 professional staff assigned to this, and ironically, to Sandy's point, 75 to 79 of those cases revolve around court-appointed guardianships. And that happens when you have lost a lot of capacity and you can no longer make decisions for yourself, and you haven't made a plan to have someone else help you with decision-making before you lost that capacity. So it is a busy place with new reports coming into us at 70 reports a month, and trying to get out to see those, start investigations, figure out what's going on, knowing what we know or knowing what we don't know about the situation and the dynamics surrounding the elder. You know, I know that Dr. Force just mentioned that he asked all of you to create a genealogy timeline. And we do the same thing in Adult Protective Services. We take a look at the age of the person and what's going on in their life today, but going back to year of birth and coming forward and looking at the milestones of their life, milestones of the big social events that occurred. Now with the pandemic, that is a huge milestone, and what impact has that had on them and their family? So there's a lot of parallels that Dr. Force is sharing with you that we use in the investigative role to figure out what's going on. It is extremely difficult for us to walk in the middle of somebody's life and understand what's going on, understand their family dynamics, what their personal wishes are, especially when they have illness or disease, as Dr. Abbottiello pointed out to you guys. You have to tread lightly. You have to suck in as much information, objective information as you can, and not be subjective about it. All the while, the people in the community who are making the report are terribly subjective, and they want to see their outcome rather than the outcome that's best suited for the impaired person that you're investigating or assessing. So 300 cases, that's about the average for us in Orange County, 70 to 75 new reports a month. We have staff dedicated to different disciplines within the office. So it's a busy place.
And I think, one of the things that I talk to the students about is that in this field, we're looking for long distance runners, not sprinters. And that because you can easily, as you talked about, Tim, you can easily burn out. People typically are running towards you when things aren't going well in their life. Tim and his staff are first responders in many cases. They're going into homes where there's hoarding. They're going into homes where there's significant abuse. They're going into homes, they might be arriving. Sharon, can you just mute yourself? Thanks. They're going in, thank you, Sharon. So they're going into homes where there might be significant abuse. They're going into homes where people have died. And then the question is, how do you take care of yourself? Because if you cannot manage yourself, you cannot be present to help somebody else. And that's why Tim referenced this thing with Alyssa. Last year, Tim and Alyssa got together, and Tim was able to bring his staff. He was able to underwrite this, get funding for it, and bring his staff up to the Hudson Valley Healing Center for some detoxing, for some relaxation. Because it's like I told you, in the academic arena, they give you the sabbatical every 7 years. You can raise your hand. There's a real value in that, being able to step back. These individuals that you've now met today, I can say this quite clearly. Yes, they've been in the field for quite some time, but they're still alive. Okay, they still have spirit. They're still engaged. All of us could give witness to the fact of people we've met across our professional careers that only send their bodies to work because they're so burnt out. And the fact is, that's not really what you want. And what you've had the opportunity today to do is to meet people that are active, that are involved, that are leaders in the field, not only locally, but statewide and nationally. The associations that each of these individuals belong to, whether they be legal or social work, or Tim with his whole focus statewide. He's recognized statewide as being a leader in the area of adult protective services. So with that, I'm going to bring this to close. Are there any questions? Again, I told you, you need not ask a question, but you need not be fearful if you want to ask a question. Any questions? I mean, we'll continue the conversation in class on Thursday. But if there's any questions now, please, this would be the time. Okay, so we're good to go, and I'm going to stop the recording. And to all of my friends, thank you so much. And this was great. And we will pick up the discussion in class on Thursday. Okay, so thank you. And everybody
Thanks,
can now
Larry.
sign. All right, you're welcome. And now you can sign off. That's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Good seeing
Good
you
luck
all.
to you all.
All right, bye now.
Bye-bye.